Coach, just to start, I remember, you kind of preached that you really want to see consistency. Now that we're about a week and a half in or so, almost 2 weeks in, what kind of consistency have you seen from these guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's a group of guys that are really consistent. We need more, obviously, because you can't play with just, a handful or two handfuls of guys. But there's been a group of guys that have been really consistent. We're coming to the end of kind of throwing stuff at them, as far as moving guys' positions and kind of mixing up what we install and what we run. We'll get a little bit more to who we're going to be in the beginning of the season. Now we know, we brought in, 25, 30 guys in the, in that June summer period that we were kind of trying to figure out who they were. We've got a pretty good idea now. So yeah, we've had some consistency. It's been pleasing, but we definitely need a lot more to continue to move forward.
How those veteran transfers you brought in really showing their veteran presence, you feel like, so far?
Yeah, I think that leads to some of the consistency, just knowing how to prepare for the next day. Camp is a grind everywhere, and knowing how to prepare for the next day, how to handle the installs, how to handle taking care of your body, how to handle the right mental disposition to come out day after day after day. That part of it, I think, having so many veteran guys who have been through some type of camp matters. You can see those guys who have come from places where they played, who are having a little bit more consistency than some of the guys that maybe didn't get as many reps. I think that goes back to just that experience piece and being able to know what it takes to get them ready to go. Some of the young guys have had that leadership to watch, which has helped them grow a little bit. But overall, I think, anytime you can get experience, just with the routine of camp and installs and preparing, I think it always helps.
Coach, first scrimmage tomorrow, can you kind of talk about what the structure of that scrimmage will be and the things you want to see?
Yeah, we're trying to see now who is going to, I told them in the pre-practice meeting, tomorrow is kind of like preseason game number one. There's going to be some guys who don't make the cut to move forward with the, hey, you're ready to play right now. There's going to be some guys on the bubble that, hey, you need to progress really well in the next, week and a half in order for us to count on you in the first couple of games. And then there are going to be some guys who, hey, you're going to play in the first couple of games. Here are the few things that you need to, sharpen up in the next week and a half to be ready. So it's really going to be an opportunity for us to draw a little bit of a line, not really, hey, you're good, you're bad, but hey, you're ready for us to kind of add a little bit more to. You need to kind of go back and kind of review, step one, step two. And then we'll kind of get a chance to see a little bit of, no coaching, no script. You got to kind of recognize the situation, play the front, play the right mechanic. So we'll get a chance to see who is what I consider practice confident, meaning, hey, I know this period is 7-on-7. So I got my eyes on all pass, keys. Well, I know this period's team run, so I'm a little bit more aggressive to fit the runs. I know this period is blitz period, so I'm a little bit more aware of what's going on. It'll be kind of a free flow, play a game mentality. You got to kind of look at the change. You got to anticipate the call, anticipate the formations, looks. So it'll give us a chance to see who's practice confident and who really has some confidence.
Is there a specific unit that you're going to be looking at specifically for that, or is it all units kind
of?
No,
I think, always whenever you get into a competitive scrimmage, the offense usually plays a little bit better because the tempo forces the defense to get lined up, forces them to communicate. If you can string a couple plays together, you can really see who has the competitive endurance to be able not to just physically condition-wise play after play, but go through the cycle of a play, right? Situation. What's the call? What's my communication? What's my key? What's my responsibility? And then do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And sometimes that will allow the offense to catch some guys who are, a little bit slower getting lined up, or who don't disguise as well, or who doesn't hit the blitz the right way. So typically the offense has a little more success in scrimmage-like situations. Defensively, they usually rebound after, they kind of realize the tempo's up. We'll have some officials here that'll help too. So I'm excited to kind of see the overall, but really looking at the intricate pieces of, okay, who after the third play had an MA? who was able to string 4 or 5 dominant plays together, and then we could teach from that.
So Kyron Heath followed his career the last couple of years. Ole Miss, bumps in the road. Last year, some ups and downs and bumps in the road here, so to speak. Seems like you guys have found the right mix with him, the recipe. Could you kind of speak to that, what it was for him? And
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I'll be completely honest. He was, and I've told him this, he was about cut at the end of spring. We went through the winter period, just his intensity. He's always had the skill. He's always had the size. I mean, he's got a pro body and a pro frame and pro skills. He did not have the intangibles, intensity, everything that we require in our program when we first got here. We went through winter and he was not good as far as, the intensity, the sense of urgency, showing up early to watch film. Wasn't good at that. Went in the spring, got a little bit better. Towards the middle of spring, like the light came on. And he has been the most improved player from those things on the team. I tell everybody, it's night and day. And I was ready to get rid of him because it doesn't matter what you look like in my program. It matters how you perform, not just on the field, but in life. And he has, I tip my hat to him, he's the most improved player on the team as far as buying into the standards, buying into the culture. And he's setting himself up for a big year. He's had a phenomenal camp. He's a leader now. He's talking more. He's showing up in the building bright-eyed. He's here early. He's staying after practice getting catches. This summer he was out there on the jugs by himself. And I told him, I said that those are the things that you need to do in order to give yourself a chance. Now, obviously we got to put it on the field, and Coach Anderson's offense, historically the tight end has had a big role. I think he can have that same big role. He's on the right track. Now it's day 10. We still got some days to go. And I tell him every day, man, the new Kyron is definitely the Kyron that he needs and that we need. And he's giving himself a chance. He really is.
Isaiah Gibson come back from injury. How have you seen him over the last couple months really get back to the prime form you know him as?
Yeah, man, I love the kid. He's been with us for a long time, and when he got injured last year, it was heartbreaking because the kid puts a lot into it, and he had one of those injuries that just take time, and he got frustrated through the rehab process, and obviously he was active this spring. He wasn't full go this spring, but he was able to get in it, and as a competitor, you just want to get back to playing. We came out the first day, and he was flying around, knocking guys back. He looked like the old Gibby. And he has continued to get stronger. We anticipated, we're going to have to kind of put him on a rep count. We haven't had to do that. He hasn't had any residual effects. He's starting to get back in the groove, right? You've been out that long, just the little things like your technique and footwork typically need work. But he did a hell of a job with the rehab team, Aaron and Todd and, Southern Bone and Joint, all those people that really helped him get back this summer. Eugene Sims, our assistant D-line coach, has done a phenomenal job with him, kind of one-on-one in the summer. I told him the other day he looked like the old Gibby, and obviously we still got a ways to go. But as far as restrictions, we thought we would have to still have some on, and we have not had to do that. And the kids, you can see he's back. He's got that glimmer in his eye. He's back being a leader. It's hard to be a leader when you're not in the fight with the guys in the spring. He's back being a leader. The team loves him. He stood up in the team meeting the other night and kind of told his story of why he's still playing and, all the thoughts that went through his head, when he was laying on that turf with the injury and how grueling the, treatment. I mean, you're talking about a 330-pound guy doing rehab, which is, it's tough. Our guy over here is skipping rehab every day, but it's tough, man. It is. But I couldn't be more proud of his determination. I couldn't be more proud of his trust in us. He came in my office and he said, "Coach, you didn't give up on me." And I said, "I'm not going to give up on you because you shouldn't give up on yourself." You can just tell, like, him being back, he's got that bounce. So obviously he's got to continue to get, in shape, football shape. He's doing a good job with that. And, we got to be able to play the games and all those things, but he's doing phenomenal.
What was the injury?
He ended up tearing his patella.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has stood out? And you kind of mentioned him coming up in the team meeting. Now we're a couple weeks in. What's it up chemistry-wise? How have you seen it like really grow together a lot more?
Yeah, really good. It's been what do you call it? Volatile. Not necessarily from a physical standpoint, but when you add emotionally growing adolescents, 90+ degree heat, competitive endurance, meaning I'm not going against a little leaguer here, I'm going against a really good player every day. The back and forth that you get is good. They have grown through the fire, if that makes sense. They've grown through the frustration of one guy wins a rep, the next guy wins a rep. One guy wins a rep, the next guy wins a rep. And it has made them closer. I talked about it in the preseason. You know, there's a, you know, we can kumbaya and we can take them to the pool and take them paintballing and all that's great. But when you get out there and you realize that this guy's a dog, you have a little bit more respect for him. And that respect is starting to show through camp. That kind of continuity is starting to show through camp. Guys who didn't hang out with certain guys, not by intention, but just the casual, I'm eating lunch, and then there's a guy that I'm gonna eat lunch with because I just watched him have a heck of a practice. That's starting to forge some tighter relationships. We still aren't battle tested. That's the reality of it. Until we play a game, we're not gonna know. I wish I really, we had the old preseason games where you could go out there and see some guys compete against another opponent. But we're doing the things we need to do to build the toughness of mentality and teamwork through adversity. That's just what we're doing now. You're going out every day and you're banging and battling with really good players. There's some position groups that are really competitive because it's good players. And that is creating a bond that I think should, keyword should, help us sustain through some trying times this season.
Anything else? Coach, thank you.